Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day today. So today we are doing 4 builds in one, because recently I had a little 3-day trip to Cardiff, so I thought I'd recreate the Bay Area as in Windenburg. It has a similar sort of Bay Area, so I thought that would be perfect. So this part we are working on the water tower. They have a sort of a sculpture that's all made out of mirrors that sometimes it has water coming down it and sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the weather. So most of the time it's switched off because it's always too wet and windy in Wales to have it on. And it's quite a tall structure, and it's been used in Torchwood. If you've ever watched Torchwood, it's the entrance to their secret base that's supposed to be under Cardiff Bay, and that is one of the main reasons why I used to going to Cardiff, and the reason why I started going to Cardiff. And it's just a generally nice place. So to get the reflectiveness of the sculpture or the monstrosity, I used the 3 mirrors and sort of layered them over each other, and had to use the 9 key to raise them up using the move objects key. And I also try and put some of the water in and realised that it was going to take me forever, so I kind of just put some ones on the bottom and tried to use the highest sort of spout, because there's lots of different water spouts, and I was trying to hide them within the structure itself, so it kind of looked like it was cascading down like it does on the sculpture itself. And yeah, just moving them back in because they were all sticking out, and sort of the area around it is raised up from the rest of the area, because the main area itself is called Rodolphe Place after the author, and it was kind of redeveloped for the millennia. And it used to be the ship docking bay, where all the trade and sort of all the coal and stuff used to go out into the Severn. So now we're working on the Millennium Centre. This is a theatre meeting area. It's got some shops, it's got cafes, it's kind of an all-purpose sort of building, and it has really unique colour. It's like a bright copper colour, and all the buildings around it is really dark layered slate, so when the sun is actually shining on it, if you actually get a nice day, then it glistens. And if you ever walk over this park called the Barrage, you can look back to Cardiff Bay and see it sort of glistening off in the distance, and the sun reflecting off the water tower as well. So we're just doing the inside. It was quite hard because the building itself is a lot bigger than this, and the lots on here, the lot that I wanted to use wasn't quite big enough, so it's sort of a miniature sized version of what the building is inside. So I'm just marking out where the theatre bit is, and the little restaurant they have on the side, and some bathrooms. And it's a three high building. You can kind of go all the way up into the sort of dome bread bin. I always call it the bread bin building, because it looks a bit like an old-fashioned sort of dome rounded bread bin. So you can go all the way up into the top, and where I've put the windows, I did want to put some text over it, because it does say a Welsh phrase on the front, but I couldn't find anything to sort of do that in the game. I even tried looking at some custom content, but I downloaded one thing and it didn't work because it wouldn't scale up. So I edited it in on the thumbnail which I created. So it kind of just goes Welsh, because I couldn't be bothered to look up what it actually said on the front. I apologise if you're Welsh for offending you by just writing Welsh. And now we're working on the theatre bit. So they have the National Orchestra of Wales. They're based in the Millennium Centre, and they sort of put on different touring productions, and they also do like different special events for like BBC stuff, and other stuff that's going on in Wales. They normally have children in need there as well, I think, but the scale that I've done it doesn't give it justice because it is absolutely massive inside. You can go on a tour, and we did that a few years ago now, I think, because I've been going since like 2008, so I can never remember what we've actually done since going there, and sort of scaled up that curtain to make the little entranceway. And then I didn't realise that I actually deleted my little background scene for the stage because I wanted to make it look like they were putting on a little play, so I kind of wanted the rocks and adding the bushes in, instead of using that, I think it's a flea market chair, to make the little rows of seating and making it look as expensive as possible, because it is really nice in the back in there. I think it's like a 4 high, it's got 4 tiers to the actual one, and it's all got like sweeping curves and natural things that we can't recreate in The Sims, and it probably wouldn't let me go deep enough to do an actual recreation of the thing. And then we're going to work on some little bathrooms, because obviously if you're watching something that's like 4 hours long, you're going to need an interval and a break. So I kept them really minimal. There was kind of, didn't want to spend too much time doing sort of the bathroomy bits because they're not exactly the most interesting thing to watch, and I just copied them over as well because I was like, nah, can't be bothered, I've got plenty of other things to do. And this build took me, well, all 4 builds took me a very long time to do, and it's taken me like 3 days to render all the videos and put them in because I made them all way too big for my laptop to cope, because I use about 2 different editing softwares to put my videos in, so I accidentally did them too large. So this is one of the front cafe area bits. I did want to put in the little stand so you could get an employee to work there, but I just had to use the bar area because the actual space that is a lot bigger than this. Normally you can get quite big benches along there, and there's a shop next to it as well that sells sort of music things, but I didn't have enough space to put that in. So we're working on the desk area. This is sort of an information desk for if you're booking tickets to the cinema, to the theatre productions and stuff. So I use those movie posters we got with City Living to indicate what was going to be on or what was coming up, and use the small ones as well to indicate different things or different timings. And then this is the second cafe that's at the bottom, and they have sort of more relaxed seating, so they've got sofas and tables outside, and you get a view down the other direction, down the road bit that has some water fountains and stuff where the bus can pick you up and drop you off. So they have great buses because they are bright blue and they are bendy, so we just call them the bendy bus. I think that's actually their proper term. It's quite fun when it's busy and you have to stand in the middle of them, because most of the time they do like 90-degree turns to get back to the city centre. So if you're standing in there, it's quite fun trying to not fall over. I'm just making one of the little gift shops. I think this end it is the tourist information, so normally they have loads of like kid stuff, what you can do around in the local area, and normally some Doctor Who stuff, because obviously that was all filmed in Cardiff, and sort of other Welsh related products. Normally they have a little stage area out in that foyer, and most of the time that I've always been there, it's always had like a stage with like a grand piano and stuff, but this time they had like random cardboard boxes in the middle, and it was so hard not to just like try and push them over. It was so funny. And there was some Doctor Who cosplayers in the foyer as well, so it was really weird, like going, oh, David Tennant's over there, oh wait, no it's not, he's too short and it looks like a child. So that was quite funny. So if you ever wanted to go to Cardiff anytime, you'll have to make sure you bring your umbrella with you, because it always rains 2 out of the 3 days we were there, it rained, and my hair loves the rain, so it went all wonderfully curly, and that's always fun because it goes horrendous, and I love it when it goes curly. I really don't. And then we're making some meeting rooms because you can have meetings in the Millennium Centre, so I thought I'd make 2 different sizes. There's some sofas and some tables with like teas and cakes and fruit if you're being healthy, which you're probably not if you're stuck in a meeting. You're probably downing a load of coffees and putting a few artworks, and I realised those buildings were the rooms were a bit bleak, so I added some extra windows in the back. And now we're going to work on the old dock building. I think this is one of my favourite buildings in Cardiff Bay, just because it's this beautiful, like, dark, rusty red colour. Like most of the buildings in Cardiff are this beautiful rusty red colour from the Victorian, I think it's Victorian era, like all that coal sort of throwback. So this building was originally used for when the ships came in, they had to come and register what they were either bringing in or taking out, and then my headphones are deciding to play a random song constantly in my ear, and I don't really want to listen to that. And the building itself is a lot more detailed than I was able to do in The Sims, because it's got a lot of wall details that are actually engraved within the brick itself. I was quite surprised that we actually had a brick that was very similar to what the brick is actually on this building. And I did go try the dark roof, and I realised it doesn't have a dark roof, and changed it back to a more slatey, obviously slate because Wales is the home of slate, and it was hard to put the windows on this build because it's got loads and loads of windows that are like 3 layers on the same sort of level, so it was really hard to kind of, because you can't overlap windows in The Sims, so you can't really get the sort of how many windows that are actually on the side of this building. So where we're working on now, it would have like about 3 sets of windows where there's only 1 window, if you kind of understand that, or go Google it and then you'll be able to see what I was trying to do. But this building is covered in windows. I didn't do the inside of this building because you're not actually normally allowed to go inside the building unless there's like something on, so I don't actually really know what it looks like inside. But we're still working on windows because it has insanely a lot of windows on this building. I did like those dark ones. They work really well once we actually put on the wallpaper, which I'm going to do in a minute. Is actually finding ones that were the deep enough reddy orange that I wanted, and that brickwork worked really well. And obviously now you can see that the ones with the like white around them don't really match with this building at all. And it has a clock face in the little tower bit, which I put in later, and it has an insane amount of chimneys for something that probably doesn't have any fireplaces anymore, which I realised. And it's got used a lot of the little Victorian-y things that we got from Get Together to make some detailing on the roof parts, and trying to get everything looking right. And we also are going to add some wall details as well, using the brown arches from the base game, because I wanted to reflect the different like engravings on the building it has. So I kind of thought that using the little posts and the archways kind of reflected that, but we don't have that much wall detailing in the game, and just scaling up the little clock tower that we had and making that on the front, because it's one of the classic parts of that building is the clock face itself, and using the city living room divider to kind of give some extra detailing onto the front because it was looking a bit plain, and putting some bollards around it, because this building actually doesn't stick right on the end of the sort of bay area itself. It kind of is still very much built into the main structure and sits near the Parliament building as well, that's used for quite a lot of different things. So now we are going to work on the hotel that's there. It's called the St. David's Hotel, and it's got a spa in it, and it's probably one of the most, I think it's one of the most expensive hotels in Cardiff, I think. And it's got a really interesting roof detail that I couldn't do justice with in this build, because it would be cool if we could delete the under bits of the roof, because that would make it work really well. It's got a sort of, it's supposed to look like a wave, so they've done the roof so it's got sort of a wave detailing on the top, which I'm trying to work on now. I do change how it is in the end, because it was really hard for me to try and get that wave detail. Obviously in real life it has the little bits underneath not full of wool, but I think in the end it did get it. I did manage to get it to work a lot better than it has at the moment. And we're going around adding in all the windows, because it's a huge glass building. Obviously I couldn't go up as many levels as the actual building was, so in the thumbnail I actually added the extra layers in to make it actually look like the building itself, and every room has its own little balcony to it. And we'll see later, I did 2 different styles of rooms. I did one that was like a standard room, and one that was one of the more expensive penthouse type ones, and using the really good base game door with the glass around it, sort of really worked well with the other windows that I was using, because I didn't want to use full glass windows, because you don't really want, even though you're quite high up, you don't really want people looking in if it's a hotel, and kind of just trying to mirror the same side, because it is a reflection, if that makes sense. It's a reflection of itself on the other side, and it kind of was hard to juggle where the doors and the windows should go and where the balcony ends were, because it was quite a fiddly process to do. And I think I made the second balcony on this side a bit longer than the others, so it sticks out a bit. And I'll have to remember to add all these onto the gallery. And if you'd like to download anything, then you can either search my hashtag Hevdonia, or look at I think my username is not the same yet, because I still can't work out how to change it, because I forgot my question. And so that is Graphic Design HS. And so we're now working on the inside, just carving up where the different rooms are. Some of them are bigger than the others, kind of if you've got a family room or you've got a single bed room. I kind of tried to make it sort of diverse as possible to what kind of rooms you would get in a hotel. And I think it was really awkward trying to get in the stairs, because obviously the building itself is bigger than what I've built it, so I've never actually been inside the building, so I don't actually know what it looks like inside. And this is one of the first times that I have really built a hotel in The Sims as well, because at the moment we can't run it as a hotel, so there's not been really any need for me to build a hotel up until now. So now we're working on the main ground floor. So there is a lobby area, there is a dining room, and a spa and gym, because it is known for having a very luxurious spa. So it was quite handy that I have the spa day pack, because that made it a lot easier to do that. And I use the marble flooring in here just to try and make everything quite grand, but also keeping it quite clean. So we're working on the little reception desk, and it was quite fun to do. Kind of took bookshelves and sort of desks and tried to make it look like it was somewhere where they kept sort of papers and documents and using the key a couple of times, like how that's where all the room keys were stored, and using that. I just randomly picked that sign because I don't have that many signs in the game, so it doesn't really fit, but I thought it's close enough to having a logo of what the hotel would be, and using the really nice fluffy rug that we got from City Living, and some fancy chairs, and a little water feature to kind of add sort of calming ambience into your hotel room, and adding some of the kitchen cabinets at the top to sort of, I wanted to make it feel a bit more enclosed. So now we were working on the dining room, also again trying to make it quite fancy, using the light blue patterned wallpaper and sort of reflecting the colour within the chairs, but also keeping the woods kind of more hardwoods because they're more expensive, so using like the parquet flooring and the dark wood tables, and trying to pick out some more interesting and fancy objects to go with it. And sort of, they don't have dine out, so I couldn't really use any of like the serving tables or the wait stations, but if you do have dine out, you could probably put this in your build and turn it into your own little restaurant if you wanted to. Working on the kitchen area, so I changed the floor tiles to the little cracked ones we got from City Living, and making it just sort of a functioning workspace, but also trying to add in some realism and some detail, and adding in coffee and tea machines and plenty of bins and places where the employees can sit down, and sort of crates of food, and some milk churns to sort of indicate they were storing stuff in there as well, so that it could go straight and cook it. So we're going to work on the spa and gym. So I kind of separated the room into two areas by using one of the half walls, because I'm using, I think it's the full height walls for the bottom bit, so using the tallest half wall kind of split the area off enough to indicate that they were different areas, but also allowed you to sort of see it didn't block off the space too much. And adding in the bamboo and some tea lights give it a relaxing feel to the spa area, and sort of adding in all the different class of objects and the yoga mats and sort of the, what are they called, seating area things, the little benches. And I used the wall light, I think they're supposed to be pool lights, to add some light into there because it doesn't have any windows into it. And this is the first room we're going to work on, so this is the sort of base room. It's still quite fancy, but it's not as fancy as the sort of more high-end rooms in this hotel. So I used another colour variant of what the wallpaper was for the downstairs, so we go for creams and whites, and sort of picking in some blue colours, and using those great chairs from Parenthood that look really fancy and comfortable, but also bring in that little pop of colour, and sort of trying to pick in tones that are all nice and soothing, because you don't want anything too bright in your hotel room or you won't be able to sleep properly. And each room has its own little bathroom. Some of them I had to like do little corner ends too, because the rooms were a bit too small for them. And now we're working on one of the penthouse rooms. So this one is obviously twice as big as the other one. It's got a huge bathroom, and we mixed it up by using the more wood sort of panelled walls for this room, and we used the 4-poster bed, and sort of tried to use the same colour scheme but just using a bit more fancier objects for this part. I did quite enjoy doing the furnishing for this because it's something that I don't normally do, but did get a bit monotonous trying to do all the rooms in this build, because I I did end up copying and pasting some of them because that was so handy for all the bathrooms, because I don't know how many times I would want to do bathrooms over and over again if you've got like 3 floors to furnish. And all the top rooms had lots of plants, and they've also got seating areas on the balcony, so they've got a sofa and they've got a dining place as well. And in these ones I put in a lot of like walk-in wardrobe areas to sort of give it like you'd be staying there for more than like 2 weeks or something, so you've got a load of clothing storage options. And each room has a TV in it as well. We use a different colour way on the chairs to sort of distinguish them between the different rooms, but they still look as fancy as ever. And add a few more clutter items into the fancy room. So made sure that every room had like the hairdryer clutter object, and some of them have got sort of towels, and I don't think all the rooms have like dressing gown things, because I know some hotels like give you sort of slippers and dressing gowns to have in your room. And then the bathroom was similar to the ones downstairs, but using the greeny blue wallpaper from Spa Day, and they actually have a proper bathtub and 2 sinks in those rooms, so you could imagine that this person would be sharing with their other half or their friend or someone. And they'll have a bit more, because they got a bit more space. I was able to put in some storage areas and some mats as well that fitted in. So I think now, we're just going to work on the outside. So just add in one of the outdoor sofas and one of the little tables with the umbrella on, because if you actually did get a sunny day in Cardiff, then you'd need to protect yourself. So these are the screenshots. You can see all the different floors and all the different variant rooms, and then some shots of them all together in the Bay Area. So I hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to see any more builds, then feel free to subscribe, and if you enjoyed it, give it a like. I'll hope to see you in the next one. Bye.